Welcome and thanks for joining us once again. My guest is Stephan Mitchev. He is the field CTO at Splunk. Stephan, good to have you with us.
Good to be back.
All right, let's talk about the idea of public-private partnerships, helping agencies, and you're kind of fairly fresh out of the federal government in this idea of the mission capability assurance and also cybersecurity.
Yes, I believe that public-private partnerships are extremely important for the success of any agency. I know that within the patent office, we had a lot of partnerships with a lot of private companies, specifically our cloud providers, to ensure the success of our mission. It is a force multiplier. Agencies are focused on their mission, and they know the business context. They understand the history and the method of how to serve best our citizens. And the private industry brings the fresh technology, the fresh innovation, the quick solutions, the ability to prototype quickly and demonstrate value that agencies can use and become really, really efficient in delivering their mission. Even recently, we hear large organizations giving access to their models for very low cost, allowing rapid innovation. Specifically, now that most of us talked about the cyber threat, how that is powered now by agentic automation, by AI in the hands of threat actors. For us, for anyone, we can no longer defend manually. We have to defend in a fully automated way, which really brings the idea of a well-versed workforce, of very highly skilled network and security operators, very highly skilled developers who can mitigate a lot of those threats. From the public and private sector, when we come together, now we can really focus on the mission and be able to be successful there.
In other words, no agency can hope to do this on their own with what they have as resources. You have to bring in some troops from the private sector.
Absolutely. I don't really believe that it's actually efficient or really the prerogative of us to solve problems. That's not our mission. That's why when I was in PTO, we always often talked about we have a lot of commodity technology. And what's special is actually it's small but extremely unique and very valuable, and that's where we need to focus. That is our mission. And all the technology around us could be commoditized. And now with the advent of generative AI and agentic automation, we're seeing that that aspect actually expands a lot with respect to the offerings that we can utilize from our partners.
All right, and of course, some of the partners that you're with are AWS, migrating to this cloud service provider model, which agencies have been under policy and mandate to do for some time now. How does that help them improve the mission goal that you just mentioned?
So yes, migrating to the cloud is not just using someone else's infrastructure, right? There was a long time ago we talked about cloud being someone else's computer, but that's not really the case. Cloud is a paradigm shift. It's how you think when you deliver services. Within PTO, we had our primary mission within the technology sector was security, cyber resilience, digital resilience, and innovation and emerging technologies. So part of this, actually not part of this, all those three are satisfied by the cloud migration. All those three require full visibility on your operations. Specifically with AWS, a lot of the accelerations that we were able to achieve is our ability to scale, our ability to deploy quickly, really move away from critical partnerships between product teams and network teams and system administrators into a more cohesive model where most of your deployments, actually all of your deployments are based on code. You have infrastructure as code, networking as code as well. So this shift between traditional and highly accelerated deployment has been very material in the success of the agency, and AWS has been a great partner there.
Yeah, so they have tools and capabilities that can be amplified, you might say, with the partnership with Splunk kind of there also.
Right. One of the most important things here is the observability aspect. And when we talk about digital resilience, we're really talking about the security of your products, the observability, what you can see and you can protect, and also the connectivity assurance, the ability for us to provide a solution and be accessible and available to all of our citizens. And Splunk, with now part of Cisco, now we're delivering a very large aspect, very large portion of the digital resilience portfolio. I was really excited when I saw one of the first presentations where we saw the entire layout from compute to networking to observability, and all kind of tying together under the cover of an AI assistant, which is the vision right now of where we want to take our SOC of the future and operations and networking compute as well.
A little bit more detail on how that works. What does that look like?
Well, when you think of it from a conceptual perspective, it's fully agentic AI. What we want to do is have a unified assistant that has the ability, through its usage of tools and APIs, to be able to access telemetry and observability data in general from each level of your product pipeline. And that is from how you code to how you perform your QA tasks, how you deploy, how you operate it, and then looking down on the stack of your container level, your infrastructure, and we have great partnerships with all cloud providers, and AWS specifically, where you can collect that telemetry, and Splunk as a data platform is able to ingest and use AI models to analyze the performance and the security of products.
Yeah, so it's really building on observability. That's a basic functionality that you have to know what's going on, but you have to be able to do something about what you observe.
Absolutely, and that is where agents and very well-trained workforce comes in. The reaction to, from a security perspective, the most important thing is how do you proactively protect your systems? And in the unfortunate case, when you know that there's a problem, how do you minimize the blast radius and react on those events? We have seen this with attacks which happened years ago, like Log4j. We did attempting to create the blast radius was a challenge. But when you have good observability, you can solve this within minutes. Now, those attacks and similar can occur within minutes. Other panelists have spoken about millions of attacks per day. Recently, I was at the security summit where I heard from government executives, you have hundreds of millions of attacks which are continuously active, and most of them are created, or they start from state-sponsored actors, which means there's a lot of funding, there's a lot of planning, and there's a lot of technology behind that as well. We have to keep up with this. And adopting AI solutions, specifically agentic solutions, where they can continuously analyze the threat information, continuously analyze the observability data, and really seeing everything that you're running. That's really the most important thing.
And not just your human-generated endpoints, but also all of the other sensors, yes, IoT devices, et cetera, that are out there.
Yeah, this is specifically important in manufacturing, where you have major, fully automated manufacturing facilities. We call them sometimes the dark manufacturing facilities, where you really don't need light because most of it is actually automated. But when you have places like that, you know that every sensor may be susceptible to some sort of an attack. So on top of physical security, you really have to have this automated pattern recognition of what is the expected behavior versus what is behavior that exceeds a certain threshold, and really be able to act really quickly, automatically on it.
Sure, and also you have, especially in the DoD environment, but also in civilian, you have deployment of new capabilities and updates through the network to all those sometimes autonomous devices, as well as to users. So it's kind of a two-way observability.
It is, and it's important when you think from an air-gapped environment, an environment where it could be a device which is completely disconnected from the world, or a complete data center which is on purpose built to be isolated. You still need to be able to protect from insider threat. You still need to be able to protect from events and activities which might occur and appear legitimate. So using tools which give you a full visibility into that stack, even in a completely isolated way, is actually very important. And the offering that Splunk and Cisco together provide for air-gapped environment is actually significantly helpful in this area.
Splunk is a company that gets data from tools and then helps people use that. And by the way, before we get to this question, I think it's fair to say you can confirm that you almost have to have cloud compute capabilities to do all of this observability analysis, contextualizing, and then being able to react, because nobody has their own data center, just storage capability or compute capability to be able to do this.
Absolutely. One of the most important things here is, again, to understand where are we strong. Cloud providers, AWS gives us the ability to utilize frontier models. They give us the inference capabilities, and that is something that can be acquired and used extremely efficiently and very quickly. From a product delivery perspective, I know firsthand that we had the ability to prototype solutions matter of minutes for literally lunch money, which used to take months and cost significant amount of money just for a prototype, just for the idea to be placed on table and experienced. Obviously not production code, but you still have to see it before you move forward. Now, when you move forward from that, you might choose to create inference within your own data center, but generally that is a very specialized use case. Most often, when we talk about, again, commodity technology, most often you would like to let large organizations provide those models for you, let them be responsible and kind of have that shared responsibility model that we talked about. Let them develop this and provide it to you. And you as a consumer, whether you're on the industry side or on the government side, be able to actually stitch it together into a solution that really addresses the mission at hand.
All right, what I was going to ask before that was the idea of Splunk takes tool data, but you also recommend tool consolidation as a way to lower maybe the attack surface, or tell us more about the importance of tool consolidation.
It is about efficiency first and foremost. One problem I've seen as I worked with multiple product teams is that I always talk about autonomy and technical alignment. I'm a big fan of product team autonomy. That gives the ability of teams to choose their own tools, to choose their own processes, to adhere to best practices, but find innovative ways to solve problems, which works great for 1, 2, 3 teams. But when you scale, it turns into pure chaos. And the reason it will go there is because you would find the best fit tools for a specific purpose, but you would not rationalize them. So often we talk about autonomy and technical alignment together. Technical alignment, part of it is about tool consolidation and also kind of allowing teams to be able to explore, to find solutions, but always go back and say, what is the value of that? How do we incorporate that into a larger picture that we already are aware of? We do create reference architectures, and those are great tools where we all agree on the product delivery level. That's the way how we're going to solve very common problems. And if you want anything extra on that one, you're free to find new ways to achieve that. With Splunk, it's very interesting because Splunk is a data platform first and foremost. And with that data platform powered completely by AI, we have security observability. With Cisco, we have the assurance, the network, the connectivity assurance as well. And that gives this overall great fit for a tool consolidation process if you want to kind of optimize your delivery pipeline.
And I guess maybe a little bit of discipline on the part of headquarters organizations on tool deployment. Probably people that are absolutely convinced they'd have to have a specialized tool might find a way that maybe they don't.
That is the art of negotiation at this point. It is very difficult to convince a group within an organization which has run with a specific tool that has 2% different requirements than another one to justify that tool to be removed and consolidated into one. I've done that personally, and it's difficult. It's a challenge. It's a difficult fight to fight. And one of the important thing is really looking at value. Where are you going with it? What is the end value? How do you return on the investment of a specific tool? But not just the tool, but total cost of ownership of that tool. That's your upskilling of the folks who are going to use it, the hosting if that's not a cloud tool, or the licensing. When you bring all that together, now you're not talking really about the cost of the tool. It's what is the value that you're getting out of it. And often you you referred earlier to a single pane of glass, right? Often that creates more value than anything else. The fact that you can now see everything. And now, one thing that I'm really excited about is in Cisco Live, we announced recently the AI Canvas, which is a dynamically generated dashboard based on the current need in real time. And that was one interesting thing that I will see happening more in the industry, where you don't no longer have fixed SOC dashboards and endpoint monitoring. You have very specialized, dynamically created screens, which are very targeted towards who is actually looking at them, what the information is currently needed. Are you under attack? Then it's a completely different screen being created for you with different widgets. And the data that can pull in to visualize and analyze, that's also very important. And kind of tapping into, again, the agentic aspect of it, kind of knowing exactly what data, what kind of analysis can you bring in front of a threat analyzer, security person to react and to advise and remediate.
All right, good point to leave it at that. We want to thank you for being with us. Stephan Mitchev is the field CTO at Splunk. I'm Tom Temin. You've been watching the series Accelerate Together, Secure by AI. For more on this discussion, please visit federalnewsnetwork.com and search Accelerate Together.